All right, we are Galexis, and welcome to the July 2020 blog. Today we want to talk about planting the seeds of harmony and peace. We've talked about all the chaos on the planet that's been going on for the past several blogs. In fact, all our blogs have mentioned chaos. The chaos does continue. The conflicts, the anger, the rage, the fear, all the changes, the separations, the destructions, the worries, the hassles, the crises, they continue. What is so beautiful, though, in a sense, that is emerging at this time, is that there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of energy flowing more now towards the visioning of the future, aiming towards the future. Now, here in the United States, it may be aiming towards November and the elections, but it's more than that. It's aiming towards the new world. It's aiming towards a new way of life. It's aiming towards a resolution. And in this, one of the things that is kind of obvious, but we just want to point it out, is that all the human beings on the planet, looking at all this chaos and conflict, they all are disturbed by it in some way or another, annoyed or trying to distance themselves from it, or they're engaged fighting in it, or whatever it is. But everyone wants it to end. Everyone. And you notice that when you watch one of these high body count macho movies, there's always some big war and some danger to the planet or whatever, and the hero must come in and take charge and beat the enemy and triumph over evil, and often there's this mano a mano with the villain, and comes triumph at the end. All right, all the chaos, all the pain, all the suffering, all the explosions and all the destruction and all the death and so on, but it's done now. And so the final scenes of the movie is that all of a sudden everything is safe again. The music picks up. It sounds more beautiful. The hero is reunited with loved ones. The future looks bright. Yes, the evil is vanquished. Now the good can prevail. And so, in a sense, it doesn't matter where you are as far as your perspective on things or what country you live in. You want all of this war, all of this conflict, separation, and stress. You want it to end. You want something beautiful there at the end. And what we would like to suggest is that you're looking for a reality, a life, that with more harmony, more peace. Whether you admit it or not, or whether you've thought of it in that way or not, doesn't matter, but underneath it all, that's what you would like to have. You'd like this incessant war and conflict to end, and for evil to be vanquished. You would like now, okay, it's time to roll the credits, it's happy ever after. Yes. But the thing is that there are so many different ways to get there. And what's happening is people are fighting each other over how to get there. Yes, and you all want to get there. Every human being wants to get there. But how you want to get there, a lot of disagreement there. Now, this disagreement usually plays out in the political spectrum. And so there's a spectrum, and most people think of it as a polarization. Spectrum starting with, you've got the extreme right over here, and on one side, and then you've got the right wing, and then you've got the conservatives, and then you come to the middle, and you have the centrists, and then on the other side you start with the liberals, and then there's the progressives, and then there's Occupy, and you get into the extreme left. And there's a there's a perspective there. There is a polarization there between right and left. But what happens is that when you create a polarization, then there is a tendency to go into duality. And duality will say, okay, this side is good and that side is bad. This side is right, that side is wrong. This side is dark, this side is light. Good, bad, right, wrong. You know, it seems that people have a tendency to black and white things. You're either aligned with us and do what we do and believe the way we do, or you're the enemy and you're over there on that other spectrum. This is done with politics, in government, within the government, with the political parties. This is done between religions. This is done between any kind of political position, and so on. There's these extremisms. There's this right, wrong, good, bad polarization. Now, what we want to point out, though, is that in this human race, you can do that polarization, but it doesn't ever get you anywhere. All it does is increase the fighting. It increases the conflict. It increases the separation of self and other. There's one group othering, they're other, they're bad. That other group, which others them, they're bad, avoid them. So what we realize, and we want to share with you, is that it's really not a polarity. It's like a string, a thread of ideas. Of the ideas on how to get to that peace and harmony. And if you take a string and then you put the piece sides together, you have a loop, you have a circle. Now you may say, but wait a minute, the extreme right and the extreme left don't get along. But actually, what's very interesting is that when you take a position of quote-unquote extremism, your approach, your attitudes, your orientation is remarkably similar to those on the other end of the spectrum who are extremists as well. Now, the way that you express yourself and so on may be rather different, but to be able to get onto that perspective away from the collective, looking out at the world from that kind of perspective, takes a certain willingness to go into a very tight focus. And so both the extreme left and the extreme right have that. So what we're saying here is that on the circle of humanity, politics is not about right or wrong, good or bad. It's about how do you see it? How do you see the solution? The solution being the point in the very middle of the circle. That the whole line, the whole spectrum moves around. Where are you on the circle? How do you look at that middle point of harmony and peace? From what perspective do you come? Now, where you are on the string, where you are on the circle, depends on how you define what it is that you feel is the requirement or is the qualities of the life and the political system or the lifestyle that you're looking for. That lifestyle, that political system that will bring you harmony and peace. And the definitions of these qualities, now definitions, we want just want an aside here. A definition of a word or a concept is how that concept looks as it's played out in your world, in your life. Yeah, you can go to to Webster's, and you can look at the word-by-word definition of a word. But how you interpret that in your life is your own personal definition. And people can have similar terms, but with very different definitions. So, for example, one of the qualities that you want in your ideal life, in your positive future, in the dream future, in the new world reality that you desire, where that place of harmony and peace, that place of resolution of conflict, that place is going to have all your needs met. Right there. That's really important. Now, your needs can be defined. Maslow gave a hierarchy of needs. And yeah, you can go and look at that and how that would look for you. So some of that is going to be in this list. We have a list here we're going to share. So the definitions of those qualities are going to be your vision of the future. So many people have difficulty imagining the future. Well, it hasn't happened yet, so it's hard to imagine. So we're going to mention some words. What do these words mean to you? For example, freedom. That's a really great word. Freedom, like all of these words we're going to mention, are what we call fat words. Fat words means that they have a lot of substance to them. They have a lot of depth, and they can be interpreted and defined in your personal life with great nuance, great differences, great subtleties. Freedom can be freedom from responsibility. This is the freedom as envisioned by a 7 or 8-year-old, okay? Or a freedom from control, which is the way an adolescent would like to envision it. Or freedom from obligation, which is another one that maybe a 20-something would really like to have. That's also a kind of freedom from responsibilities. But freedom can also be freedom to be yourself, freedom to express, freedom to just in an expansive, wonderful, joyous, celebratory state. So, what is freedom to you? Another one that everyone pretty much wants is safety. You want to feel safe. You want your loved ones to be safe. You don't want to continuously be concerned that anyone's going to break into your place and rob you and kill you and hurt your children or whatever. You want to feel safe. Okay? Safety and security. You want to feel secure. You want to feel that somehow or another, the world's got your back. You're protected. You're safe. Now, safety has different levels. It can be protection, but it can also go beyond protection and actually go into that and merge also with that freedom. Because if you feel completely safe, you feel free. You see, so play around with these words. We're going to just list them here. The safety, of course, safety, security, freedom, love. Love is hard to define, but what do you want to experience in your life that is loving? How does love show up? What do you want to feel in your life that brings love to you? What is love for you? And just kind of figure it out. Just kind of sense it, feel it. Loving, giving love, receiving love, being loved. How wonderful. Then empowerment. Power is very important. Everyone needs personal power. If you don't have personal power, you can't make decisions for yourself. You cannot exercise your free will, which is granted to you as part of this universal divine providence. So what is, what is power for you? Now, is it power over? Or is it empowerment of self? We would not recommend power over, because that requires that you have to keep other people down. And frankly, that's not going to make you feel very safe. Which is what all the dictators have found, is that they have to continuously suppress and shut people up and keep keep everything down, because if they shirk that, if they would relax that, they're afraid, they're going to be taken over. They're going to be at risk. So you don't want to try power over. That's a dead end. But what is personal power? Feeling empowered. What is that for you? Now, there's other things. Belonging. And of course, as we mentioned, peace. Independence. Is it independence from, or you're independent to? No one is really independent. You're all interdependent. Now, if you want to drive a car to where you live, you need roads. You're dependent on the infrastructure. You're dependent on your car. You're dependent on any number of things. So, independence, there is a spark of spirit. But don't let it be independence at the loss or at the diminishment or separation from anything else. Justice. Justice is not revenge. There's a higher sense of the order of things. Justice is not about, justice can become power over. So look at what feels right as far as justice. Justice may be only that on the way there. It may be only something you fight about. It may not even be anything you need in the new world. If everyone respects everyone else, maybe it's respect. If everyone respects everyone else, honors everyone's story, everyone's life, is there going to be the same kinds of social problems, discriminations, and hurtfulness of control and domination of one over the other that would require justice? So let yourself imagine about that. Maybe you don't want justice. Maybe that's not what you want in your to even think about, because that brings in conflict. So maybe it's beyond that. Happiness, though, everybody wants happiness. Happiness is having enough of whatever it is you want. Happiness is having enough freedom, enough empowerment, enough love, enough safety and security. Harmony and balance. Harmony means that you're safe in your community. You're not competing with others for some kind of place higher on some ladder of value or success. Harmony is enjoying, inclusive of all, enjoying the oneness. And there is balance with that as well, balance between the masculine and the feminine energies. A balance between, which is normally in polarizations, but to find a balance. Everyone has a balance. Okay, purpose. Most everyone wants a sense of purpose. What's yours? What would you like to see as your purpose, a sense of purpose in that new world? A sense of meaning. You want something that's meaningful. You want a life that has meaning, a life that matters. But does it have to be defined in terms of achievement and money? No. What is your value? And of course, peace. What is peace to you? If you want to think more about it, we did a blog about peace only 2 or 3 months ago. So you can go check that out. Now, once you look at some of these words, we would suggest that you go through and select from this list, or maybe there are other words that appeal to you, that lift you, that feel beautiful and more resonant. Great, add those in. But choose between 4 and 7 words. No more than 7, no fewer than 4. Choose between 4 and 7 words that for you are the most significant, most resonant with your sense of who you are, with your sense of the future that you want. And select these words and then sit down and think about them. Really feel them. Allow yourself to feel. For example, for freedom, what is freedom for you? Define them. And in this new life, what would freedom feel like for you? Not a freedom from, a freedom towards something, a freedom to do something, freedom to be. Feel that. Explore that, for example. Take this with your words, your chosen words. And think about how, in the state of that energy, how you're going to react in your life, how you respond in your life, how you express yourself in your life, and also how you will take action. What kind of actions will you do? What kind of projects you might get involved with? What would you be doing? And so it's what's so important about creating a future vision is that what you've done to this point, for the most part, is that your definitions of these words have hinged on a contrast against what you do not want. So when you're envisioning yourself in this new world holding the frequencies of these beautiful words, it's not that you're there because you've gotten away from that other word, or you've gotten away from what you don't want. Okay, stop thinking about what you don't want. When you look at the future, think about only what you do want. That's like using the word freedom again. A lot of people see freedom as the opposite of whatever it is that they don't want, the slavery or the suppression or the domination or the control or the whatever. So allow yourself to be in the state that you choose without its definition being dependent on whatever it is, in contrast that you don't want. Okay? And then also, to help you with this, remove cultural distortions from your imagination. Because you have to imagine this. This is big time imagination, fifth dimensional consciousness, really. And a lot of you have thought about like happiness and empowerment and safety, security in the Western type A behavior context. Is that it requires competition, it requires struggle, it requires, achieving. Well, in your new world, do you really want that? Do you really want to still be on some kind of track in which you have to push, drive, achieve, and that you're always behind and there's so much more to do, and you got to hurry up and you got to do more and you haven't done enough and you're not good enough and you're da-da-da-da-da-da-da? That's another word you might want to put in there. Enough. Are you enough? What would it feel like if you were enough and you had enough and you were enough and life was good enough? All right? So just, as you think about it, maybe the possibilities will open up for you. So remove the achiever personality, remove the slave driver, get rid of all that fake motivation, because you don't want to, in the new world, you don't need to be better than other people. You don't need to dominate anyone else. Harmony and peace means you can be who you are and live the life that you really want to live. Remove the fears in your imagination. Just stop thinking about, okay, I'm going to have this so I'm not afraid of this and this and this. It's all going to be safe, and I'm not going to, and this is part of safety definitions. Safe from, okay? Safe from, let's say, the things that people really fear the most in their relationships. The people are being shamed, being humiliated, being rejected, and being excluded or separated. If you don't have any fears of those, what state of being would you be in? If you could let your inner self fully shine. All right, so we're talking about the future, and maybe you might want to even explore a scenario, put together some kind of scenario. Now, we know that currently the right wing, very often they talk about returning to a better time. The whole Trump campaign was Make America Great Again, which meant going back to something, to a vision of the past that was a beautiful vision. Maybe it wasn't achieved, maybe some pieces of it were achieved, but in a sense, a time in which the culture was quiet, there was a relative prosperity, is kind of suggested in small town America in the 50s, an idealized version of that. For some people, it's a utopian fantasy. Other people, it's like a new age community kind of thing. So play around with what kind of community, what kind of relationship with other people in your cultural and environment. What is that going to be like for you in this new world? So you dream that your chosen life in this new scenario, in this new setting, using the energies of your words as they are going to be more precisely defined by you. Okay? Now remember, in this world that you dream, you're dreaming a world not where, okay, I finally made it, and now I have my mansion on top of the hill and my private airplane and whatever. That's part of that's really not a common denominator. What we want you to imagine is the common denominator, which is harmony and peace, not achievement. Now, that's not to say there's not achievement there. What we are looking for are the intangibles that come from holding these frequencies and these resonances of these beautiful words, these fat words, these words of light. All right, so, and remember also, give everyone else on the planet the right to dream their future inclusively as well. Allow the new world that you dream of to have an energy of oneness, because it's in the oneness, in that circle, that when you all focus into the center, that you can experience and you can see and you can get the glimpse of harmony and peace, regardless of where you are right now, politically, wherever you stand. So the new world you dream of offers safety in love, freedom, and empowerment. Those four we often talk about as being a foundation. And whatever words that you choose. It will include those. Step into it. Feel it. Own it. It's yours. You're planting the seeds of harmony and peace. You're doing it for yourself, but dear ones, you're also doing it for your world. Thank you.